Welcome to Go with the Code. Now that we have installed MS SQL Server, next we create the new database on the server. But before we begin, there are a few things you should know. In this video, you will learn how to create the new database, create database tables and columns, and how to create relationships between tables. As always, you should know what you do before you do it, because you do it at your own risk. First, design the structure of your database. Make a feature list and write down a description of your application. Design tables, table columns, and relationships between tables. Proceed piece by piece. Try to keep your database structure as simple as possible. Also decide which table columns can be null. MS SQL is a relational database, which means that there are links between tables. Foreign key column of the child table links to the primary key column of the parent table. Primary key can contain one or many table columns. A database table can have many foreign keys, but only one primary key. Primary key column has an index by default. Foreign key column instead does not have an index. Joins are usually made between primary and foreign key columns, so you should consider creating an index to the foreign key column. It is good to know that indexes may affect to insert, update and delete command performance. MS SQL Server has plenty of data types. Be careful when you choose the table column data type and a maximum data length when you create a new table. Avoid using string types in the primary key and foreign key columns. In this video, we will create a database which has 6 tables. There are relationships between tables. Database contains persons and pets. A person may be the owner of the pet. A person may also be a parent or a child. Pet type tells that if a pet is a dog or a cat. We will create an application in upcoming videos that will use the database. You can use SQL scripts, Management Studio Designer, or PowerShell to create the new database. In this video, we will use Management Studio Designer to create the new database. When you create the new database, there are 3 configuration pages that you will walk through before the installation. In a general page, you set the database name, database owner, and database files. Under database files section, you can set a database logical file name, file type, file group, file initial sites, autogrowth, database file location, and a file name and file type, which are optional. Your database must have at least one data file and one transaction log file. You can set the database file autogrowth size in percent or megabytes. Autogrowth may lead to performance problems or to many unwanted situations. If you disable autogrowth, make sure that the file initial size is big enough. Install your database files to the fast file system. In the options page, you set your database level collation, recovery model, compatibility level, and contentment type, plus other options. In most cases, you can leave other options as default. Learn how to enable encryption and what can cause parameter sniffing when you start using stored procedures or table valued functions in your database. Finally, verify your database file groups. In MS SQL Server, you can have memory-optimized tables and disk-based tables in your database. In this video, we will use traditional disk-based tables in our database. Click OK to create the new database. You can create a new or modify an existing table using SQL scripts or Management Studio Designer. Always create the new table column to the end of the table. Usually, you create database tables using SQL migrations. You should learn how to write SQL. You can also create foreign keys using SQL scripts or Management Studio Designer. Foreign key column of the child table links to the primary key column of the parent table. A table can have many foreign keys but only one primary key. Here you can see database table columns and table keys that we create in this video. In the first name column and last name column, we use varchar data type with maximum length of 100. The only column that allows null is a where classes column. All other columns do not allow null value. We will talk about null values in the next video. Person pet and person parent tables use a composite key as a primary key. All other tables use surrogate key as a primary key. Primary keys and foreign keys have different colors in a table diagram. Usually, primary key names start with letter PK and foreign key names start with letters FK. Let's begin. Next, open Management Studio by typing SSMS. Click the link and wait. You can see how to install Management Studio in the previous video. You can connect to the default instance by typing your computer name or .dot. You can use Windows authentication or SQL Server authentication if you have created a local database user account. Click Connect. From the left bar, right-click Databases and select New Database. Give your database a name. You can change your database owner, file initial sites, autogrowth or max sites. You can also change your database file location or file name. By default, database file name is same as database name. Under Options section, you can set a database level collation if you don't want to use a server level collation. You can set a recovery model. We talked about recovery model in the previous video. You can also change compatibility level or contentment type. In this video, we will leave other options as default. Verify file groups and finally click OK to create a new database. You can also change some database options later if you want. Next, we will create tables to the database. First, we will create a person table. Right-click Tables and select New Table. A table must have at least one column. We will create surrogate key as a primary key. Give a column name and data type. Right-click the column and select Set Primary Key. Next, we set identity specification to true. The column is automatically generated when a new row is created to the table. Identity seed is where numbering starts in a primary key column. Number grows by 1. Next, we will create the rest of the columns. And finally, when you are ready, save a table. Enter a name for the table and click OK. Next, we will create a pet table using SQL script. Right-click a person table and select Script Table as, Create to, New Query Editor window. Rename a table name and key name and also column names. And finally, execute the query. Next, we will create a table that links persons and pets together. Right-click Tables and select New Table. Give a column name and data type. Choose the columns and set primary key. Now we have created a composite key. Save a table, enter a name for the table, and click OK. Next, we will create foreign keys. Right-click and select Relationships. First, we will create a foreign key for a person table. Click Add. Choose a primary key table, a primary key column, and a foreign key column. Click OK. Next, we will create a foreign key for a pet table. Click Add. Choose a primary key table, a primary key column, and a foreign key column. Click OK and save a table. Now we have created foreign keys. Next, we create a pet type table. Table has a surrogate key. There is relationship between pet and pet type. Next, we create a foreign key to the pet table. And finally, we create the rest of the tables. When you are ready, you can create a database diagram from your database. Your database diagram should look like this. In the next video, we will create, read, update and delete data from the database. Until we code again. Bye!